Hello, hi there, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for someone. I know it's a bit late for some of you. Welcome. My name is Irina. I am the product and community specialist here in Zenda, and I welcome you to our today's workshop about how to build scored forms, scored questionnaires, and how to track client progress automatically. It's a bit of a heavy, a lot of information, heavy topic to cover. So I welcome you. A couple of words about myself while you're joining me. I've been with Zenda for almost 6 years now. I've done some work in the customer support. Now I work with the marketing team. I run the Zenda Academy, the knowledge base, and I also help our product team a lot to launch new features and to educate you and our customers about the product. So today, let us talk about the squad forms, the questionnaires, what they are, how they look and how they work in Zenda, and how you can use them to the best of your advantage and what we can do with them. So what we will be covering today is what they are. We call them scored forms, but what they are, how they can help you. Then I'll show you how to find them in Zenda, what already is available, and how to build a custom questionnaire that you can use in your practice. Then we will talk about how to share these questionnaires, how to share these forms with your clients in different scenarios. For example, when you're onboarding a new client, or if you want to send those questionnaires regularly. And then how to track the results, how to see how to track the outcomes, and how to see the progress over time. And of course, if you have any questions, I know you have already sent me some questions when you were registered. Thank you very much. I have already published most of them that are super relative to our workshop today. You can already see them on your screen in the Q&A section over there. And we will discuss them today, absolutely. And if you have any questions while I am showing to you what I have prepared, please type them up for me as I speak, and we will have a Q&A session in the end. If anything is happening with the sound, with the video, please also let me know in that Q&A session. Section, sorry, of your screen. All right, I can see that quite a few of you have joined me today. Awesome. So let us start and let us have a little chat about, first of all, what do we call scored forms in Zenda. Basically, those are the online forms that you can use to send to your clients as questionnaires, where the clients can provide answers to different questions that you send to them, and then you can calculate the scores that they gave to those answers, and you can also get the interpretations to those answers, and then you can see the trend of how those answers and how those scores are changing over time. So now let me jump to my demonstration account, and let me show you what you actually can do in Zenda. So all those online forms and questionnaires, they live here in the tools menu in the form designer. So if you want to explore what Zenda already offers, I recommend that you go into the template library, and in the search field, let us type in scoring or score, and you can see all the forms that already have the scoring feature enabled and built in. So all these forms are already available for you to start using. I know that the task form is super well used in all the mental health care professions. The CAGE form, the audit form, the PHQ, the RCADS or CADS forms we have been licensed and added quite recently. So all of them you're welcome to use. How to use them, you will just click the form here, scroll to the bottom, and click Save to My Account. And this is how you will add it to your Zendesk account, and you will be able to start using. And in the next section of the demonstration, I will show you how you will be able to share those forms to your with your clients. All right. So once you've saved a copy of a form from the template library, you will see it available in your own templates that you will be using in your Zendesk account. All right, but now I can show you also how you can build your own form with calculated fields, the scored form, the scored questionnaire. For your own Zendesk account that is not available in the template library. It could be that you're using something specific or something that you have actually developed for your own practice, or something that you have been licensed, but it's not available in the library, or something that is available for use for practitioners, but is not available for the commercial use by the copyright owners of that form. So you can build it for your own practice, and you can start using it with your clients. And this is how we can do that. So we will use the new form template option here. And let me show you a few practical things that are important to know about building such a template. First of all, of course, the form name is important. I'll be just typing something very generic, just to speed up because I don't want to keep you too long. But after that, I will show you the template that I prepared for the further demonstration. But right now, for the part where I show you the generic rules, the default rules for building a scored form, I'll just use a very generic naming conventions. Let's do the scored form demo. This is the template name that will be showing in all the drop downs when you are selecting the form to embed into your communication templates in the client profile, but it will also to show to the clients as the name of the form when they receive it. So it's good to know that. Another important thing to know, if you are sharing your forms with the clients on the client portal, if you ask them to go to the portal and see the forms that you have assigned to them, enable this switch here. Otherwise, you will be able also to do that on an individual form later in the client profile. And then it's also, the next step is to enable scoring on this form. This is what makes this form to be able to turn it into that questionnaire with the calculated fields. Another switch, important, if you want to show your clients what their scores are, what their interpretations are, when you share the form with them, once they've completed the form and you email the PDF of the form to the client or show the form on the portal, you can enable this switch as well. Display scores in the portal or emails. Whenever you are not sure what this setting does and there is an eye, like information icon next to it, always click this icon or button, and the tooltip will always explain to you what this setting does. We will ignore the adding assessment score setting for the time being, because the important step now is to add actually the questions with scores. Okay, the next step is to give the section a name. For example, this will be the assessment one. Assessment one. Now, what fields you can use? You can basically, when you're building the questionnaire, you can use any field you like to show any type of information and ask any type of questions to your clients. All of them are possible to add to your forms. For example, you can use the information fields For example, form. You can use the information field to provide the instructions about the questionnaire to the client. So to explain to your clients how to fill out the forms. That's fine. This will work. And then the next fields are the ones that where you will actually be adding those scores. You will need to use the choose multiple values or choose one value. So this is important. I will select the choose one value, and these two options, either choose one value or choose multiple values, depending on the rules of your questionnaire. These two options will have the feature with enable scoring. This is where we will enable that scoring, and this is where we will be able to add those scores that are set up in our questionnaire. Assessment 1, and here we will be able to do score 1 and score, for example, will be 0. And here it will be score 2, 1, and I need to enter that. It will be 0, this will be 1, and I'll do one more, score 3 will be 2. Excellent. If you must collect all the answers to make the information received from your clients valid, make the require an answer for this field enabled. Yeah. So this way you will set up all your questions. Now, to speed this process up, I know it can be a little bit tedious to set up all these questions. If the scores, for example, are the same for all your questions, a little tip, you can use the copy button here. And this copies the whole question that you set up. And then you can use the paste field. It pastes the whole questions that you have copied. And for example, you can only change the question itself, but the scores stay the same so that you don't have to manually retype the scores all the time. And you can continue this way, setting up all your questions with all the scores. And as I said, you can, depending on what the questionnaire looks like, you can add more field types. You can add signature, for example, if you need to collect a signature from your client. For example, you can use more information fields if you need to give credits to the authors who created this questionnaire. And you can also use the internal instructions about how to read the results of this questionnaire, and you can use the hide from client switch so that these instructions are still visible to your team when they're looking at this form and to yourself, but they're not visible to the clients when they see this form on the client portal or when you email them the copy of this form or you print out the copy of this form to your client. So these are the basic or the most important pieces of information about building a form. I hope that it makes sense to you. If I missed out anything, if something is not clear, please post me a question in the Q&A section. And let me save that. And I will jump out of this draft. So for the purpose of demonstration, I spent some time and I created a bit of a proper looking form. So the client well-being and experience check-in. So here you can see that I added all the fields. I added all the scored questions. It's a little bit long. Another thing, Here at the top, you can see the template design view drop down. Let me show you the data entry mode. So this is what the clients will see. So here you can see the fields about the information that the clients can see about what this form is about, how to answer the questions themselves, and how the clients actually will be selecting the answers. So how they click the buttons, what the questions are, what the scored answers are. And here also the free typing fields for the more extended answers are provided as well. So when you're building this form, you're always welcome to actually have a look at what you are building. Okay, there was a form, sorry, a question. You can't see the shared screen. Sorry. I think it all should be working. Any option to remove business branding from forms? I work in private practice, but I also accept contractors, so at times I do not want my branding viewable. I don't think, Fia, unless you have a different Zendesk account, it's not possible, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry for digression here. All right, so, okay. So now we have the form. We have all the questions added. We have all the scores added to, let me control and click the answer I selected. So we made all the answers required. We hid the internal guidance from our clients, but the instructions will be visible to our Zendesk users, to myself. Excellent. And now the time is to add the actual scoring calculations, the assessments, and the interpretations if I want them. So for that, we will scroll to the top of the form, and here we will find this setting and add assessment score. So we will click that. And for that, what we will do, we will enter the score name. Here I will want the first score name. Just do that. It will be the well-being score in my form. Now the question selection, there are different options available. It could be either all scored fields or all scored fields in the selected sections, or custom question selected. So I can do, for me it will be easy, yeah. The well-being scored in my well-being section. I will just select that, and it will select all the questions in this section. Or alternatively, I could do that custom question selection, and then I can just select which of these questions belong to these assessment score. So this depends on the instructions of how to calculate this assessment in your particular questionnaire, right? Then the scoring method, again, it depends on the instructions for your questionnaire. It could be the sum total, the median, the average, or the percentage, right? So it will be the sum total in my case. And I also can add the interpretation. Interpretations will be the severity. So for example, in my case, I can do the need attention. The range will be from 0 to 5. And then I can also select the color so that it color codes the interpretations for me when the form is scored. And I can do one more. For example, building stability. The range will be from, if I do 5, no, if I do 4, for example, to 10, the system will tell me that the severities overlap. So I really need to make sure that they don't overlap, right? Now it is clear, and I will select another color, which is less in intensity, for example. And I will keep doing this for all the other severities, for all the other, scores and interpretations. And I can add another one for my next band, for my next section, and so on. What else is important to know here? I can choose to hide the assessment score on completed forms, some of them, but show the other ones. If the scores and interpretation calculations are very similar, I can duplicate and just change some things again so that I don't build everything from scratch. If I don't like something, if I made a mistake, I can remove and start again. If at some point when we had this form and we used it for some time for our clients, but then something in the scoring and interpretation changed over time, we can we don't have to build another form and start and update all our communication templates and start sending a new form. We can come back to our template, an existing template, update the scores and update the increment, create a different version, the new version, and keep sending this form as a new version. And this will this will keep the historic records in our client reports. I will show this a little bit later. Okay, I won't be boring you more with building this further because I have another version which is already completely built. I'll show this to you in a second. Let me just save this change. Name cannot be empty. Okay, so you see, it's a little bit fail-proof. It doesn't let you. I'll just delete this one. It doesn't let you sort of make a mistake and save something that is incorrect, which is amazing. Okay. A question. I'm curious if there is an option to integrate scored results and interpretations to templated letters and reports. Excellent question. I am prepared to answer that a little bit later. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, excellent. Now let me show you the completed form, the ready to go form. There it is. Here we have 3 assessment scores built. One of them is the well-being score. I have selected all the correct questions and I built the interpretations here. And I selected the colors for them. The next one is the care experience score, also with the correct answer questions and the interpretations, and also the recommendation score. This is like how likely you are to recommend me and my practice to your friends and family, for example, kind of like a referral score as well. Okay, and this is version 1 in my case, and I have enabled scoring. I have enabled the display score. I want to show this score, for example, on the printed form. So this is my form. It's ready to go, and it has this name: client well-being and experience check-in, and with scoring. So I will be sending this form after I have seen a client for some time, or maybe after each session, just to check on how their well-being is improving after each session, Right. So I've shown you how to find these forms that are available in Zendesk and how to build your own forms that you are licensed to use, or you've probably created yourself and you want to use, and to track the progress of your clients over time. Now, the next step, how to send these forms to your clients, how to share it with them. So the most convenient way is, of course, to use the Zendesk communication templates, and you can build this form or multiple forms into Zendesk emails and SMSs. So let's have a look how to do that. Well, let me just save so that it doesn't yell at me. And we'll jump into communication and templates. There were a lot of questions from you about using, for example, DAS form and how to send it before each session to your client. So let me show you this, how you can do that. You can build this into, for example, appointment reminder with a DAS form as an email. And where is it on the email? You don't see it because if you click into available merge fields and click into link to online forms, this is where you will see all your online forms that you've prepared listed. And on the right-hand side, you will see merge field code. This is what you need to copy for each form you want to add to your communication templates. So for example, if you have your DAS form available, you will copy its merge field, or I can copy my client well-being form and copy it as well. So I've copied the online form 20. This is the merge field for the DAS form, for example, and I've pasted it here into my email template. But what I can also do, I can send a quick SMS, for example, as a reminder before each appointment, just to my psychology clients who need to fill in the DAS form before a specific session where they come for a specific type of service, type of appointment. How we can do that? For example, I will find my appointment reminder SMS. This is it. I will clone this template. There you go. Please complete this form, and I will paste my merge field and reply yes to confirm. I can remove thank you to save a few characters here and save that. And if you haven't heard yet, you may know that clickable links, clickable URLs for the forms can be very long. They can take up quite a few characters and make an SMS a bit expensive. But what we've done just recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, we just released a feature that shortens those links into a very, very short link. So to do that, we'll go to settings, communication options. And what you need to do, you only need to turn this on. Enable your URL shortening for SMS links. So just turn this on, and you don't even need to save, but I'll save just to be sure. And what it does, it converts those URLs that are created by merge fields, including online forms, into a very short link. This is an example. It will be zendo.link/ and then 7 characters. That's it. But when the clients click that, it will take them to that original destination. And it works for online forms, for client portal, for invoices, so everything that is generated by the merge fields. So if you were worried about that, don't worry about that anymore. Just turn this on and you can start sending those online forms as a reminder, for example. And if you want to target just, for example, your DAS forms, you can use the pre-appointment automation only for example, to send 2 days before an appointment which has a service, a specific service, a psychology service attached. And here you can select either your email with a DAS 21 or 42 form, or I can just select my, I'll do that, SMS. I will select my SMS with that DAS 21 form and save. So this will be sending that SMS with a short link to the online form for appointments which have my psychology consultation service. So I hope that makes sense. This is just one of the options. As I said, you can, somebody was asking how to send those forms for client onboarding. You can do that with, for example, new client automations. So add your online form merge fields to your client welcome email, set up a new client automation. It can be delayed. So when you edit new client, you set them up, you add a specific client type, client status, and assign them to a practitioner, add them a classification, and so on. And you can delay this automation by 1 to 3 days, for example. And once everything is set up, this automation can shoot an email where you edit all those forms, including your calculated, scored forms, to a specific client that matches this automation. This is another option. Or you can just have that template for the new client. You can add all your forms that you want. Just copy that form, add it here with the instructions what to do. And then when you add your client, you onboard them, you can send a manual email using this template. It will generate the forms, send the email with all those links. That's another option. Or you can add this template to your client portal notifications when new clients register, and that will send an email with those forms. So those are one of the possibilities how you can share those forms. You can even not send any of those communication templates if you don't want to. What you can do, if you go into a client profile, go into records, forms. If it's a clinical form, click into create new, click into the selection of the template, and you select that form, and it generates without any communication template. And you can make it show on the portal forms. And if your clients know to go on the client portal and access that form, they will open the client portal, they will go to my forms page, and they will see the draft, they will open and complete it. Or if they are, for example, in your practice and you have an iPad, you can open their client profile, open that form, copy the link, open it on the other tab, give them the iPad, and they will complete the form there. So a lot of options there. I hope that some of them will work for you. All right. So now that we are in the client profile, let me show you another thing, close all forms. I have already shared this form with my calculated fields with the client multiple times, and she has already completed it 3 times, as you can see, these purple 3 forms. Let me show you what it looks like when it's calculated. So she completed the form, she sent it back to me, and the form automatically scored the answers, and you can see it here, that there is a score and there is an interpretation of that score. Here it is sitting at the top. Now, if we do this here, you can see that it was not so good in the previous one, and the first one was even worse. That's already very informative, but what if I want to show the progress as a graph on some sort of scale. For that, we can see here this progress report tab. When you first click it, it's available on any client profile. When you first click it, you see this placeholder. It doesn't show anything. So how do I find it and how do I generate this client report? Very easy. So I click into assessment type drop down here, and it will show me the form that client has completed before. So I will select that form, and then I can just click search, and there you go. I can see the scores and I can see them shown as a graph with the progress. I can narrow it down a little bit if I want to see a bit of a extended form. Oops. Okay, let's do it this way. Yeah, that's much better. And I can hover over each of these circles, and it shows me the card with an interpretation and with more details of what each score is. Is the date and the score and the interpretation. If some of the scores are the same, like here, the score of well-being and experience are 5, they sort of overlap each other, but if you hover over them, you will see what each score is. And if I scroll a bit further more, I can see the scores are explained in this table. It shows me the dates when each form was completed and submitted. The version, remember we were talking about the versioning. So the older scores could be from the older version of the form. And then when the rules changed and you updated the form and started sending the second version, the third version, you will see which version each score belongs to. And then the scores and the interpretations are also displayed here. And also, if you want to see more details, you just click the view form and it opens the pop-up of the answers for each form. So you can see in full detail what information the client submitted in that form. And there's also the quick link to the actual form in the client profile. Okay, let me see your questions there. Alana, is there an easy way to duplicate the assessment score outcome in the client notes or just copy and paste? I'd prefer to see the scores in context to my clinical notes. For the time being, it's the copy and paste, unfortunately, Alana. I've been using a template that I created for DAS21 prior to Xenda uploading this. Is there an easy way to export the previous data to have it appear? I don't think so, unfortunately, no. No. Okay, let me have a look at my notes. I've done all that. Progress report. Okay, there were a few questions about how to integrate this information into notes and reports. So for notes, unfortunately, it's copy and paste, but maybe what will help you a bit better is the feature that is currently in the beta version, the Busy Insights. I have it enabled for my demo account. That's showing for you also. That's awesome. So this Busy Insights, we are going to make it available to everyone in a couple of months' time, very soon. But what it does, it has access. If you, as a Xenda user, have access to the forms and to the data for this client, then your Busy Insights will have access to these clients' forms as well. And then you can use this AI chat to further analyze the outcomes. So for example, I can ask it, compare the results of the first and last client well-being and experience check-in with scoring. And let's see. So what it does, it reads the forms and it provides the analysis to you, which I think you can copy and paste into your notes, for example. For me, it's just a very raw prompt. Yeah, but you can copy from here and add it to your note, for example. Or you can ask it to summarize to list the improvements or any regressions. And it does that. Right. So in my case, they're only improvements, no regressions. I had a very kind of optimistic client. You can also, there was a question from Michelle, I think, submitted, if you how to link the results of these scored questionnaires with reporting to referrers, to third parties, to insurers, and so on. So we can also do that. I can ask in Insights to create a letter. Create a letter to the client's referral and discuss the trend observed in this form. Okay, see. Okay. It can analyze client information, but communication drafting is handled in Write with Insights. Awesome. Tells me what to do. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So what it did, it moved me to the letter creation options, where the Busy AI Insights collaborates with writing tool, and where I can write it to create the letter to this client's referrer and discuss the trend that was observed in this questionnaire. So it will be looking into all this information that is available in the client profile, in the letters, and it will be writing the report as a letter to the referrer. So this is now available as a beta version. If you are interested, please reach out to our customer team to ask to enable this for you, but we will be releasing this pretty soon to everyone. Okay, come on, there you go. So I have the full letter to the referrer that sort of analyzed my questionnaire and mapped out all the outcomes here. That's how you can already use sort of further all the information that has been collected through those scored forms. Okay, Joanna, does it have conditional logic? If you're asking about conditional logic, if you're asking about the scored forms, conditional logic, is it like if this, then this? I don't think so. I don't think it does. Can you create something like a personality type quiz with conditional logic and scoring? Let me check this with our product team. I don't think so, Joanna, but if I'm wrong, I'll send you an email, okay? And yeah, I'm happy to be wrong about that. Okay. All right. Let me have a look at the top of your questions. I think I have covered everything you asked. I have prepared. If there's anything else you're curious about, let me know. How to include scoring in daily sessions? I think the pre-appointment automations with an email or an SMS would be the best solution for that. That's for Brandy. How how to input all data if not already included in system. There was a couple of questions. I don't think you can backdate unless you are manually, no, but yeah, that the input data will still have the date if you manually recomplete the forms, the data will still be today's data. I don't think you can backdate, unfortunately. Any option to create and offer courses, recurrent membership, custom domain and branding? Joanna, custom domain and branding. I don't think for the time being we offer all of that. Branding, the client portal has some more extended branding solutions for the moment. You can upload your custom banner, custom logo, but it would still be through Xander Health URL. Okay. Do you say the BZI Insights button is in the beta testing? Yes. Yeah. So if you send an email to support@xanderhealth.com and ask for it to be enabled, they will do this for you. Yeah, but the feature, we are preparing to release it to everybody in a couple of months' time. Yep. All right, so the replay of this video, you will receive it within 24 hours through another email from us. There will be a link to replay. If you forgot something, I have also added the link to the knowledge base article with the steps how to create your own form if you want to build one. But as I said, welcome, have a look in our templates library, download the forms that we already provide. Those are the most requested and the most used for the time being. Thank you very much for listening. Welcome to send us, reach out to support team if you have any questions, if you need help with building a form, if you need help with setting up communication template to share the form, and we are always here to help you. And I hope to see you another time at our next workshops. Have a lovely day, everyone.